So I think the 2 hours of The Last Dance last night was like kind of the first time in a minute that I truly escaped from the world lately. Because it was very good. It was really entertaining, it was informative, and it was kind of the perfect blend of what you want in a documentary. Because sometimes documentaries feel like you're at school and you're just watching something because you're forced to. Whereas this did it in a way that was a lot more fun. I think the LL Cool J I'm Bad over the 63-point game against the Celtics was awesome. Eric B. and Rakim over, I believe it was MJ's rookie season, was great as well. The production value was pretty awesome in general. I mean, there is a little bit of cinematography going on with MJ favored towards the right side of the screen, whereas his house can be seen from mainly the left side of the screen, and that was definitely intentional, no doubt about it. I have no problem with MJ's subtle flex about how wealthy he is. I believe his net worth is, $2 billion? We also had a couple of cool shots with MJ and the cigar in the very beginning of the thing, so that was nice. I also have to praise the clarity of the quality on the 1998 season stuff. I mean, when we're in the locker room, it looks great. Now, I know that we had made progress with production and stuff at that time, but even then, like when you watch NBA footage from that era, it can sometimes still look really crappy. But this looks really awesome. Just the quality. And the one thing I really remember from the locker room stuff was MJ saying to the trainer, like, hey, we got to get this figured out, whatever it was. It was when Kukoc was at the table. And it's good. We also saw Phil Jackson at his desk, and that quality was great as well. So I think that should be praised. I feel like if the quality was off, it could have really killed the entire thing. So kudos to them there. Another thing I was interested in seeing was if MJ was going to be protected, as in he was never going to be presented in a potentially negative light. And we've already seen him kind of throw jabs at Jerry Krause, so I think that's good. I mean, if you're going to do a documentary like this, you got to be accurate. I'm not expecting MJ to approve of something that bashes him, but I would hope that he's not just presented in a way that he is not. I mean, Michael Jordan was not a super peachy guy to his teammates. There's various quotes you can find on the internet of him saying things, and I just hope that we get that side of it, whether it's from footage of it or accounts of it. Of course, we're probably going to, well, I don't think it's probably, I think we're definitely going to get the Pistons next week, and that's probably going to be pretty spicy, so I just hope that we go in that direction, you know? I guess the example of this for a different documentary could have been the Fab Five stuff, where Jalen Rose had some choice words to say about Grant Hill. Are we going to go to that level of stuff with The Last Dance? We're going to have to wait and see. I imagine that Isaiah Thomas probably has some things to say. I mean, he has said various things, like the Pistons would have beaten the Bulls if he didn't get hurt in the fourth time they played each other. He has downplayed Scottie Pippen pretty much every opportunity that he's had. Could we get Phil Jackson saying some things negatively about MJ as well? Because if you read the Jordan Rules book, there's a lot of stuff in there about Phil having moments of like, well, MJ doesn't really get it, he shoots too much, he doesn't get his teammates involved enough, and is Phil going to carry that energy into this? I mean, when this was recorded, it was many years since their first championship, which is what the Jordan Rules is about, so perhaps he wasn't feeling that at that point. I don't know. I mean, obviously MJ would get smarter as a player with that many years since the first title, so there's just a lot of things up in the air, and I just hope that MJ is not completely protected from this thing, because he was a bit of a divisive guy if you really dig into the details. So yeah, I just want accuracy pretty much. Now, I'm sure there's also moments of MJ being a nicer person than we would all know about, so I'm looking forward to that as well. If the Steve Kerr punch doesn't get mentioned at all, that's going to be kind of weird, let's be honest. I know we've got the Pistons next week, and the thing with the Pistons is I know they're going to do the whole like physical late 80s defense thing, which is fine because it definitely was more physical, but I hope they don't go over the top with it and act like MJ was being clotheslined every possession, because he just simply wasn't. I mean, if you go look at highlights of Pistons Bulls games, like, there's a fair share of MJ easy layups and open jump shots, and it's just not as crazy as it can be dramatized to be, and I do fear that it's going to be over the top in that regard, but we'll have to see how they do it. I guess if I can get to Jerry Krause now, it's definitely an interesting thing. I really wish the guy was alive, one, just because, I mean, we don't want to wish a dude's dead, but also because it would be cool to see his side of this whole thing, because seems like kind of a fascinating dude in a way, where great GM. I mean, he got Scottie, he got Horace Grant, traded for Bill Cartwright, even if MJ didn't love Cartwright all the time. He did say in that documentary, like, yeah, I really like Charles Oakley, but it made us a better team to go for Cartwright. But at the same time, by all accounts, Jerry Krause had insecurities, and, you know, MJ and Scottie giving the guy crap day in and day out, it's not very nice, let's be honest. I mean, is it possible that Jerry Krause was kind of a nerd thrown into this world of strong personality jocks, pretty much? It does kind of seem that way, especially because of the era that we're talking about. But even with that being said, we'll get to the Scottie stuff in a second. The Scottie stuff's a little different, but in terms of just throwing jabs at Krause because of his height and stuff, like, is that really that bad? You know? Like, I feel like you could just throw something back at MJ, he would laugh about it, and you'd pretty much just move on, you know? But, I don't know, I guess that's the type of thing you'd have to be there. You know, there's a chance that MJ just flat out bullied Jerry Krause at times. We may not know that one at all. But if it was just light jabs about his height, like, it's not really that bad, let's be honest. If we're talking about the Scottie stuff, though, where it seemed like Scottie was just flat out berating Jerry Krause on the bus in front of teammates, that's a little different of a story. Scottie, you gotta chill. Even if you think that you've been unfairly treated because of Krause and contract situations and all that. I guess we can get to the Scottie contract stuff now. It would definitely not happen today. A contract of that length. There'd be a player option somewhere in there. I mean, if we look at Scottie's stuff, so in Scottie's fourth year, he averaged 18, 7, and 6. Was really efficient, and I have to imagine was already killing it defensively. He'd probably get a max contract today. If not a max, then he would get a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? Off of his rookie contract. So, it's just a very different thing. Also, just noting, why did Scottie Pippen not make the All-Star team in his fourth year when he was as good as all the other years? I don't know. I know it's been said already, like, if Scottie Pippen played today, he'd be the perfect player. I mean, he could probably switch across all 5 positions depending on the team you're playing. You know, if you're facing a center who can't score like that, Scottie could truly switch everywhere. And then athletically, he does all that stuff as well. I do hope there's a lot more on Scottie Pippen. I do believe the Dennis Rodman episode is coming next, because I feel like there's just more to be said about Scottie in the sense of his shortcomings. I mean, that's already been mentioned a bit, but, you know, between the headache game, and he wasn't great in those first couple of Pistons series and other things. I just feel like there's a lot to be talked about, and I don't think the MJ Scottie thing was just perfect the entire way. I mean, we already saw MJ say that Scottie was selfish for how he handled the injury. And there's a chance that I'm being hyperbolic more than anything here, because I can't pinpoint to one specific thing, but I do feel like they're just through learning about the Bulls through various things over the years, I do feel like there was like some quiet animosity between Scottie and MJ. There was still respect as teammates, and they probably had a decent enough relationship, but I do think there was a little bit of like MJ being like, all right, Scottie, let's go. Like, you got to give me a little bit more. And of course, it has since been great, and MJ has been very positive to Scottie, but I think the process to getting to that point was probably rough at times, and hopefully we see that type of stuff as well. Basically, if you're going to give me 10 hours of the Chicago Bulls, I don't want it to just be everything was amazing, everything was great, besides talking about Jerry Krause, you know? And up to this point, I think they've been pretty honest about that whole thing, so it's good. We'll have to see where they go from there. Again, I'm looking forward to Isaiah Thomas bashing the hell out of Scottie Pippen, and I'm potentially looking forward to the conversation about that on Twitter. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I did tweet saying that I hope the LeBron-MJ conversation gets even more insufferable. That was kind of a joke, kind of wasn't, because at this point we're so deep in the stupid, we might as well just get even more stupid with it. So yeah, it could be entertaining, at least. The idea will basically be that MJ fans will say team around him wasn't good enough. LeBron fans will go, yeah, well, that's been LeBron's situation many times, and yeah, just take that and run with it. Is there anything else to talk about? I don't know. I mean, the craziness of Jerry Krause saying that Phil Jackson was going to be done in 1 year is pretty insane. If that happened today, it'd be wild. Yeah. That's what I got. It was good. It was very good. I think it got, like 6 million viewers on the live showing, and it's going to Netflix, so it's probably going to be a pretty big deal, and it's the one real thing to talk about until the NBA does something else, so yeah.